Anshul, and let me begin with the day two of our AZ-900 session. I hope you all enjoyed the day one of our, AZ Azure Fundamentals Bootcamp, and it was delivered by none other than Saurabh Kundu sir, who is again with us today to start with the day two and take you in depth of Azure Fundamentals and how to be a good cloud engineer. So without any delay, let's start with the session. So I'll introduce Saurav sir, who will be taking the session forward. And if you guys have any queries, please put it down in the comment section. We'll be happy to help them. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks again for joining today. So, without any delay, let me start today's session. Let me share my screen. Yeah, hope my screen is visible, right?
Yes, sir. Your screen is perfectly visible.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so let's start day two. So, today we will first focus on identifying different options of moving files to Azure portal from on-premise, or if required, we can also take some files from Azure and take it into our on-premise. So primarily we will be focusing on that. So first option we will discuss is it copy. So what is it copy? It's a command line utility that you can use to copy blobs or files to or from a storage account. So suppose you have some files on your on-premise location or some files on your storage account. You can use this command line utility. This is not a graphical utility, so you have to write commands by opening your command prompt or Windows PowerShell. Using that, you can actually copy your blobs or files to or from the storage account. So with AzCopy, you can upload files, download files, copy files between storage account, and even synchronize those files. And it can even be configured to work with other cloud providers to help move files back and forth between the clouds. So it can be also done with other cloud providers as well. Okay, so but when you are trying to access an Azure storage, so there should be some security, right? So you cannot just directly give a path and get all those files from your storage account. So for that, you need to have something, right? Something for authorization. So there are two options you can see here. So if the storage type is blob storage, that is a Gen 1, or blob storage hierarchical namespace, which is the Gen 2. For both, you can use either Azure AD authentication or SAS. But for only file storage, you have to use SAS only. So there is no Azure AD option there. So we will go into those details. Let me first go into the next one. So there are lots of syntax actually to create different things. So here I have just taken three of them, the basics one. So first is the creating a container. So suppose you want to create a container from your machine using command prompt. So what you will write is it copy make, you will give the storage account path, and you will give the container name. So in this way you will be able to create the container. Within that you will place again some, you will write another commands and will place files, right? So those will be next steps. So how you will upload a file? That file is currently in your local. So you will just use az copy, copy your local path and then your cloud storage path along with the file name. And if you want to upload a directory itself, again az copy, copy, you will be giving my directory, that is your local directory. And again you will be giving the path of the container, but you will be mentioning another extra thing, that is recursive, because within directory there might be another directory, this type of hierarchy, right? That within that there will be three files, another folder. So everything will be copied when you are uploading a directory. So let me just open this link if you want to dig deep. So I will not be running this practically because it will take some time. So what is the process? You can see here. First of all, you need to download a executable, right? You can download directly from here. So there are different versions given for Windows 64 or Windows 32 or Linux or Mac. There are different options available. So you need to download that and then you need to run it from the command prompt. Okay. So you can see here you need to authorize everything whenever you are accessing your data from cloud. So whenever you are using Azure Active Directory, you need to provide your credentials only once. So you do not need to use it each and every time. So once you use your credentials, you are authorized, you can use your next commands accordingly. But when you are using SAS, you always have to append that along with each and every command. So in this way, you can check it. Here there are different options given in this URL. So how to upload, how to download, how to copy, how to synchronize from Amazon S3, also how you can copy the data to Azure storage from Google storage. So these different options are given. So if you want to go into those details, you can go into those details. But for this specific exam, this much details is not required. You need to understand the concept, what the service actually do, and based on that, you will be able to answer whatever questions will be coming. So here all the list of comments are also there. So you can try those on your own. This is helpful, this link. So you can check this. So using AZ-copy, you can use in this manner. So this is the first option. So now the second option is Azure Storage Explorer. So what is the Storage Explorer? So it's basically a standalone app that makes it easy to work with Azure storage data on Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. It uses AZ-copy on the backend to perform all of the file and blob management tasks. Means AZ-copy, you need to execute some commands, right, in command prompt. Here you are executing using a GUI, graphical user interface. On the back end, it is using AZ-copy, right? You are not able to understand that. And with Storage Explorer, you can upload to Azure, download from Azure, whatever you are doing, you can do everything. For this, you need to download this Storage Explorer from this URL. So once you download and install it in your local, you can use it from here, right? This looks like this when you will be opening this. So I've already downloaded and installed it. So this is looking like this, right? So this you remember, right? Yesterday we created one demo container. In that there was a student CSV. Let me open it as well here. Let me go to the storage account. Containers. You can see demo is there. Within that only student CSV. So suppose you need to again upload another file here. So you can do it from here or you can do it from Storage Explorer here. So all functionalities you can do from here. So let me upload it from here. Upload files, maybe this student new CSV, upload. So it is getting uploaded. You can see message here. It is refreshing. So now student new CSV is uploaded. So let me go back to the portal. If I refresh it, it has came, right? So in this manner, you can work in your local as well. No need to use your Azure storage account every time. So in local, you can manage everything. So similarly in queues as well. Yesterday we were discussing about queue. So one message is there. So if I go back to the storage account, if I go to queue, here you can see one message is there. Okay, so if I add from here, again another message. Let me add message 2 maybe. It is getting added here. So if I again refresh, you see it is coming, right? So each and everything whatever is storage account you can access from here. You only need to link it, right? You need to link to the whatever storage account you want to access. Based on that, you can work. So for that, you can access from anywhere, right? So there are different options also. In demo, you can delete from here as well. If I delete from here the student new CSV what I have uploaded, let me delete it. So normally it should be also removed from the cloud. See, it's gone, right? So it is a very helpful GUI tool using which you can manage everything from your local. The only thing is that you need to connect it with your Azure credentials and the storage account or subscription, whatever you need to do. So this is Azure Storage Explorer. Next is coming up Azure File Sync. This is the third option. So Azure File Sync is a tool that lets you centralize your file shares in Azure files and keep the flexibility, performance, and compatibility of a Windows file server. So data is there is a centralized store in Azure as a file share, but the flexibility and performance will like that it is you will be accessing your local from your local file server, right? What it do? Actual Azure File Sync replicates files from your on-premise Windows server to an Azure file share, enabling you to centralize your file services in Azure while maintaining local access to your data. Once you install Azure File Sync on your local Windows server, it will automatically stay bidirectionally synced with your files in Azure. So it will be both way always, it will be synced. So you will be accessing your like you are working with your local data in your local Windows server, and exactly the same thing will be there in Azure File Sync. So suppose your local machine is some way getting crashed or something has happened, you can always get that data back from your Azure cloud. Okay, because the data will always be in sync, bidirectional. So configure cloud tiering. So the most frequently accessed files are replicated locally, while infrequently accessed files are kept in the cloud until requested. So the files which you are accessing on a frequent basis, they are actually replicated it locally because it will be faster, right? And those files which are not accessed frequently, those can be kept in cloud. So in this manner, the cloud is always updated, right? So that's the main thing, that centralize your file shares, whatever is mentioned. So it is actually ideal for distributed access scenarios. For each of your office, you can provision a local Windows server as part of your Azure file sync deployment. Changes made to a server in one office automatically sync to the servers in all other offices. So suppose you are working in office A, you are changing something or uploading one file, it automatically gets synced with the centralized system in the Azure, and the other two office location in supposing location B or C, those are also accessing those files, right? So it's automatically getting bidirectionally synced. So those files will also be available to those office. So what I have done, I have given one link of 1.5 minute. You will be able to understand. It's provided by Windows. It's a video basically in YouTube. So you can check this. It will help you to
So
understand,
you've got files,
right?
lots of them, all piling up in scattered islands of data that are difficult to manage, back up, and recover. You can consolidate your files in the cloud, but on premises users and apps might struggle with the slower access times. That's why we created Azure File Sync. Now you can centralize your files in Azure and then install Azure File Sync on a Windows server to provide fast local access to your cloud files. Your local servers and Azure are now constantly syncing. No more scattered islands of data. One centralized location for your files with multi-site access powered by fast local caches. If a server becomes unavailable, no problem. Just install Azure File Sync on another server or VM And your users and apps can access the files again within minutes. With integrated cloud backups, your local backup solution might be ready for retirement. And if you want to move an app to the cloud, your app can access the Azure File Share just like a file share in your network. Azure File Sync, the benefits of consolidating your files in the cloud, matched with the performance of a local file server. To get started,
Okay,
head here.
so you can understand, right? So you can subscribe also here in this channel provided by Microsoft. So in this way it actually works, right? So I just thought of including this video so it will be better for you to understand in a much more better way. So this was Azure File Sync. In this manner you can use this. So next let us move into data migration options. So data migration options. So you need to migrate your data, right, from different sources to Azure or from Azure to different sources. So this migration happens, right, from on-premise to cloud, and if required from cloud to on-premise, some data if needs to be moved. So the first option is Azure Migrate. Okay, so it's basically a service that helps you migrate from an on-premise environment to cloud. It functions as a hub to help you manage the assessment and migration of your on-premise data center to Azure. So it provides the following. It's a unified migration platform, means it's a single portal to start, run, and tracking your migration to Azure. And it provides range of tools. We will see in portal uh, that what are the options available. A range of tools for assessment and migration. Azure Migrate tools include Azure Migrate Discovery and Assessment, Azure Migrate Server Migration. There are others as well. So Azure Migrate integrates with other services with independent software vendors offerings as well. And in Azure Migration Hub, you can access and migrate your on-premise infrastructure to Azure. So if I go back to the portal, if I search here migrate, you will get this UI, right? So you can see that different options are given. So first option, you can see that servers, database, web apps, you all, if you require to migrate, you can take this option, right? You can just click here. You need to create a new project for that. In this project, you need to specify some details, the geography, what is the connectivity method, and those things. Based on that, those will be configured and you can use those. The second, if you only want to migrate the database, again you can use this option. And there are other options as well. If you mind to migrate .NET or Java web apps to Azure PaaS or app service, or you want to migrate the virtual desktop or data box. Data box we will look into our next slides. It's basically totally an offline thing using a device. You can migrate large amount of data. The next one is app containerization. You can containerize ASP.NET Java web applications deployed to AKS. And there are other options as well, from open source database or from Java apps to Azure. So what I want to tell you that there are lots of options inside this only single service, Azure Migrate. So you need to understand, right? If some questions comes up that this is the scenario, you want to migrate some web apps to app services, or if you want to migrate some Java apps to Azure. So there will be some different options given. So from there, you will need to select. Then Azure Migrate will be the one of the most suitable options to migrate these services or database and these things. So these concepts are important for this exam. Maybe for advanced exam, you need to understand in much more detail. So for this one, you just need to have an idea that how this is working. Okay, so these are the things. And next we move into Azure Data Box, which I just mentioned. So Azure Data Box is a physical migration service that helps transfer large amount of data in a quick, inexpensive, and reliable way. The secure data transfer is accelerated by shipping you a proprietary data box storage device that has a maximum usable storage capacity of 80 terabytes. So you will be given a storage device which can be up to 80 terabytes. You need to configure it by connecting it with Azure portal, means exporting data, or if you have some on-premise data, you can import data from there as well to Azure. So in this way, these things happen actually. So you can order the data box device. You can order via the Azure portal to import or export data from Azure. Once the device is received, you can quickly set it up using your local web UI and connect it to your network. So once finished transferring the data either into or out of Azure, so it's both way. Simply return the data box, because the main purpose of the data box was to store the data when the data was being transferred from or to Azure, right? From your on-premise. So if you are transferring data into Azure, the data is automatically uploaded once Microsoft receives the data box back, and the entire process is tracked end to end by the data box service in the Azure portal. So it is ideally suited to transfer data sizes larger than 40 TBs in scenarios with no to limited network connectivity. So it's you are separately providing one box, right? So it can be no to limited network connectivity. So it can be a one-time periodic or an initial bulk data transfer followed by periodic transfer. So normal type of data transfer, bulk or incremental. So scenarios when data box is used. So disaster recovery. So suppose a copy of data from Azure needs to be restored to an on-premise network, right? So suppose a disaster recovery needs to be done. So some disasters happen on the on-premise. So large amount of data from Azure is exported to data box. Then Microsoft ships that data box and the data is restored your on-premise in a short time. So it becomes easy, right? To have all those data again, in getting those all those data again to the on-premise in this way. Security requirements. So there might be some government or security requirements. So maintaining those things, you need to export the data. So in that scenario, you can use or migrate back to on-premise or to another cloud service provider. So if you want to move all the data back to on-premise or to another service provider, you can export that data via data box. So let me, this will be the first UI you need to select. So you can see, right, what is the transport type, import or export, which subscription, which resource group, which region, from where the data will be transferred to which region where the data needs to be transferred. So if I go back to this one, you can go here using this one, Azure Data Box. See, if you select here, you see the first thing will be coming in, which I have kept one screenshot for your reference, because we cannot just transfer this using data box here because devices and those things are required. So what I have done, I have given one link, so you can visit this. You can get end to end here that how these things are happening. But again, these all details you can you need not need to understand in detail for this exam. If you want to know that how these things happening in detail, then you can take step by step, right? So you can see that this is data box device, front view, back view. In this way, all the data are moved. Again, you can see everything is tracked, processed, delivered, received, data copy, everything is tracked. So in this way, it is done, right? The workflow is totally given here. So order, receive, copy data, return and upload. So in this way, everything is done. If you have interest, you can just check it out that how it works end to end. So this was Azure Data Box. So these all were migration and these services. So now let me move into uh, Azure monitoring services. So monitoring is a very important part, right? So if you are working with lots of services, so there can be anything, right? So suppose means some application is consumed by users and suddenly the application is down, you are not aware of, right? So the whole day the application is down, the whenever user is trying to access, so something might have happened, right? Then only the application is down, something has crashed or some the server was not able to handle that amount of load. So in this way you can check actually by monitoring different things, right? So that can be security level also, some security threats are also there, you need to understand. There can be performance or something related to cost also, right? So something is not needed but the service is still running, so it can it's a wastage of money, right? So there can be huge cost. So one of the service provided by Microsoft here is Azure Advisor. So Azure Advisor evaluates your Azure resources and makes recommendations to help improve reliability, security, and performance, achieve operational excellence, and reduce cost. The recommendations are divided into 5 categories. So question might come, I'm just telling, there can be some multiple choice options. You can select more than one option. So you can be given this type of options, right? Reliability, something else, security, performance, something else. So what are the options which Azure Advisor takes care of? So you need to understand these are the options. So reliability you can understand, used to ensure and improve the continuity of your business critical applications. So your applications will be reliable. So it will not create any problem. So customer can rely on your applications that it will be working fine as per SLA and will continue to provide the service. Security used to detect threats and vulnerabilities that might lead to security breaches, right? So it will be detecting, so some configuration you have missed while configuring some networks or some VMs or something, using that breach or using that point, some external threats can come and access your data. So this needs to be addressed, right? You can miss, that's a high chance that there are new services, new configurations coming up, enhancements are done, new types of threats are coming up, so you can miss. So these things also taken care of by Azure Advisor. Performance used to improve the speed of your applications. So suppose there are some suggestions given, so if you do this configuration changes, the performance will increase for your application. And cost used to optimize and reduce your overall Azure spending. So whatever services, as I mentioned, suppose you are not using or you can use at a lower level of configuration, so those suggestions will be provided by Azure Advisor. And finally, operational excellence used to help you achieve process and workflow efficiency, resource manageability, and deployment best practices. So suppose you are creating some process flow and you are not aware of that you are following the best practices or not, right? So suppose there can be 6 steps you are following, so best that might not be best, so third step and between third and fourth step you can have some another step, so which will improve your excellence, right? So this type of suggestions will be given by Azure Advisor. So 5 things you need to remember: reliability, security, performance, cost, operational excellence. Normally this type of screen will come. I will not get this type of screen because I do not have that much of data. So, but at least let me open it. Advisor. So this is the screen you can see, right? So security, reliability, all recommendations. So for security, there are 18 recommendations. You can understand, right? So security is, so in this way, it will provide you some advice. So their Microsoft Defender should be enabled, Microsoft Defender storage should be enabled, virtual machine should encrypt, all network ports should be restricted, storage account public access should be allowed. You can understand from these statements, right? So this can create some security breaches. So advisor has already taken care of that and it's providing you the that this needs to be done. It's providing you suggestions. So rest of the things are okay as of now, because I do not have that much services. It's for the demo purpose only. But if you go back here, you can see, right, cost, you have 5 recommendations. One is high impact. It's a picture from Microsoft site only. So one low impact, 3 medium impact. For security, there are 63 recommendations. For reliability, there are 10 recommendations. So red are high impact, you can understand. So you need to take care of them first. So in this manner, it will suggest you, you can act accordingly, right? So Azure Advisor is a quite important service for you. The next is coming up, Azure Monitor. So Azure Monitor is basically a platform for collecting, analyzing, visualizing, and potentially taking actions based on the metric and logging data from your entire Azure and on-premise environment. This data can be used to help you react to critical events in real time through alerts delivered to teams via SMS, email, and other things. So you can also use thresholds to trigger auto scaling functionality to scale up or down to meet the demand. So Azure Monitor is actually monitoring each and everything, whatever services you have. You can see from this picture, again from Microsoft site, this I have taken. So you can see application, operating system, all resources, subscription, tenant. So metrics and logs are there. So logs will be analyzed using Azure Log Analytics. So we will also see that. So there are different options you can see, right? So insights means application level insights. There can be containers, as we discussed yesterday. Insights from there, from virtual machines, or from some other monitoring solutions. And how you will understand? You will visualize somewhere in dashboards, in views or Power BI or workbooks. And what you will analyze, metric, whatever metric you have suggested, right? So you will get different sort of metrics. So these things is happening, your CPU is running in this percentage for this many duration. You need to check into these things. You can directly see those from dashboards using Azure Monitor. And log analytics, you will be actually analyzing the logs, right, which are generated when Azure Monitor is actually monitoring the metrics. And respond, you can do auto scale. So suppose, as we discussed yesterday, so alerts, so greater than 75 means the system will crash, a mail is triggered or an SMS is triggered to a group, so they will immediately take action, right? Or you can auto scale. So greater than 75, you increase the cluster number of nodes. So there are different options to respond. And integrate logic apps and export API. So using this, you can also integrate this with Azure monitors. So from here, you can take all those data, and we will see that. So this is just a screen of Azure Monitor. Let me go back to the portal. I've already opened one. So if you want to go to monitor, you need to type here monitor. You will go into this page. This is the landing page for monitor. So you can see application insights, container insights, VM insights, network insights, and these are all metrics. You can see same things on the left hand side, right? So I have already opened one. This is for the VMs which I have created for VM 100 and VM 200. So whenever you are working like this, you can create like this a new chart, and then you mention the scope. This is my subscription. Metric namespace is the virtual machine. I am checking the metrics of disk read and write. You can check a different metric as well. For this one, no metrics has came, right? So you need to understand which metrics can come. So you can see this type of things has happened. So till this time, nothing I was doing. I did something during this time with VM1, VM 1000. So there is a spike, and again I exited that VM. Again I opened VM 2000. So again there is a spike. So this type of things it will record. So it will help you to understand that how it is happening. So there are different things as well. Count, if you're mentioning count, it will be happening like this. If you're mentioning average, there is an average line coming up. So there are different things not specific to VM, but you can understand for different services, right? So in this way, monitor will help you to check these things, right? So you can attach anything here. There are different metrics also, available memory, these things. You can see different charts coming as well. So you can see red one is VM. This is VM 2000. So 259 MB for this, 156 MB for this. Everything you will be getting here as a metric, and based on this, you can create new rules, right? Alert rules you can create. So based on that metric, you will give the condition, right? So different condition you can give for different things. Check every 5 minutes, look back period 5 minutes. Based on that, what action you need to create. Suppose you need to trigger some mail to somebody, so you need to create one action group for that, right? So you will be creating some action group which will be again coming up. After creating action group, what type of notification you can see. You can trigger SMS, email, anything. So whose email ID needs to be uh, that email needs to be sent, or where the SMS needs to be sent, or a mobile app, this one, or voice, whatever. Everything you can configure from here based on that metric which was coming. So you can understand that it's an important part. It's an important part. So you can see you can also trigger different Azure services as well. So if this happens along with this notification, this function will also get triggered. So you can select from here which function you needs to get triggered. So you can just take a look at how everything is happening, because there are many of those. So, okay, so you can just check around, means what are the things available. Based on that you can learn, but you need to understand why this Azure Monitor is helpful, right? So suppose this spike is coming up, then that mail will be triggered. So this type of things will be there. So I think it's clear for Azure Monitor. So next is coming up Azure Log Analytics. So one is Azure Monitor, which will be analyzing the metrics and doing and those things, and also this one will be taking care of the generated logs. So Azure Log Analytics is the tool in the Azure portal where you will write and run log queries on the data generated by Azure Monitor. So Azure Monitor is actually monitoring and generating some data, right? So that data is written in some logs. So Azure Log Analytics will analyze those logs actually. Okay. So it will support both simple, complex queries and data analysis. You can write simple query that runs a set of records, or you can sort, filter, analyze record, or an advanced query for performing statistical analysis. Based on your requirements, you can just write your query accordingly. And you can also work with your results on interactively, or use them in other Azure Monitor features as well, as alerts or workbooks, right? So let me go back to the portal. So if I go to Log Analytics workspace, I have created one. Okay. So here you can see there are different things on the left side. So log analytics will be analyzing logs for some from for some sources, right? So what are the sources available here? You can see from here. So I have selected for this demo the virtual machines. So there are total 3 virtual machines I have created, but for this log analytics workspace, only these two I am monitoring for only these two. If I go inside this, you can see that this is connected. So it is visible, this is disconnect, right? And this one is not connected with this. So if you just need to use this workspace for this one, you just need to connect, and then all the data what will be generated there, it will be coming here. Okay, so this is VM. Just get back. This is VM 1000. So I've already opened it. So if you go inside control panel, there is a Microsoft monitoring agent, right? So if you go here in Azure Log Analytics, you will see that that specific workspace ID is registered. So once I connect it from here, it will automatically get registered in this Microsoft monitoring agent, and it will be registered here. If it is not registered, then this VM will not send any data to this workspace. Okay, so in this manner this will be there. So now you are getting the data, right? So you need to understand that what are the data coming up. So there is one option called logs. So whenever you select on logs, you will get some query templates type of things here, right? There are different lots of them. You can select from them or you can leave them. I'm leaving it as for now. And here you will be querying using a special query language, Kusto query language. We call it as a KQL. So it has a different syntax if you see, right? So here there are tables, only one table is there. Oh, sorry, two tables now. Usage is also there because I checked that it from Azure Monitor, right? So based on that, that log got generated and this is coming here. So queries you can also take from here. I have ran few queries before, so you can see from this, right? So if I select this one and run this one, you can see the syntax. Heartbeat. Heartbeat means this data is coming up from this. So this table is actually storing all those data. So this query is automatically generated by the template. So you can see, right, OS type Windows, category not equal to monitor agent, this summarize. You can see the syntax, right? So this is a Kusto query language syntax. So these two records are coming up because only these two VMs are registered with this workspace we just saw, right? So here you can see that VM 1000 and VM 2000 is there. So this type of queries will help you to check different things, right? Or so if you want to write a new query, just select it here. You can write something like this, or you can go to a new one like this. You will get different options. Suppose for this table I want to check only the first 10 records, so heartbeat, and this is the thing. So if I run this, you will see only 10 records is coming. So you understood the syntax, right? This is the table slash this limit 10. So this is, you need to learn this syntax a bit, so it's not that much difficult, but using this Kusto query language you can analyze these logs quite efficiently. Okay, so this is the log analytics workspace, and there is another link I have provided if you want to go into details that how everything is going on. You can check from this link. Anything on Microsoft documents, everything is from Microsoft document actually I'm following, so you can have it. Okay, so next is coming up Azure Service Health. So Azure Service Health provides a personalized view of the health of the Azure services, regions and resources you rely on. Displays both major and smaller localized issues that affect you. Service Health helps you keep an eye on several types of events, service issues that are problems in Azure, such as outages that are affecting you right now, or there is a planned maintenance which might affect you in future, can affect your availability. You can drill down to the affected areas, regions, and details to show how an event will affect you and what you need to do. And health advisories are issues that require you to act to avoid service interruption, including service retirements and breaking changes. Health advisories are announced far in advance to allow to the plan. So suppose a service will retire, a new service is coming up instead of that, right? So this will be notified by health advisory. So let me open this one. Let me close this. Let me open service health. So you see, this is a service health will get open. You can see, right? These are the regions coming up now. Service issues. There is no planned maintenance. There are few service issues here and there in the regions. So these are all affected locations, which is displayed by here. So storage issues registering for new investigating. So this will also be notified here. Health advisories. So there is one health advisory action required upgrade SQL database. So this type of things it will be showing you. It's basically, you can understand, it's health type of things, but here the health of the services. So in this way you can see these things. And if you go to health history, so there is only one thing is as of now. If you continue to work, there will be more coming up. So this is can be done by service health. Okay, so the same thing here from Microsoft side. This type of things will come in health history, so you can understand the same thing. So now the question is, what is the difference? So almost similar things they are advising. It might you might think for the first time, but there are few differences between Azure Advisor, Monitor, and Service Health. So Azure Advisor is primarily analyzing the configuration and usage of your resources and provides suggestions on how to optimize for reliability, security, performance, cost, and operations based on experts' best practices. Best practices is the keyword here, right? So if something comes in exam that what service I should select for best practices and these three options are given, you know that it will be Azure Advisor. The second one is Service Health. Keep track of services and regions you depend on and view the current status of the Azure services you rely on and upcoming planned outages. You can set up alerts that help you stay on top of incidents and upcoming downtime. So if something comes up in question that outages or some downtime, this type of things come, you know that it is service health. And for monitor, it keep track of performance or issues related to a specific VM or container instances, database, your applications, and so on. Create reports and notifications to help you understand how your services are performing and diagnose issues related to your Azure uses. So something is comes up that it is analyzing your performance or security issues related to your specific services in your subscription, right? Or some notifications needs to be given, so you know that it is Azure Monitor, right? So now a few general security features for Azure. So most this is Microsoft Defender for Cloud. So Azure Security Center and Azure Defender are now called Microsoft Defender for Cloud. Defender for Cloud is a tool for security, posture management, and threat management. Defender for Cloud provides the tools needed to harden your resources, track your security posture, protect against cyber attacks, streamline security management, and it fills three vital needs as you manage the security of your resources and workloads in cloud and on-premise. So what it will do, it will continuously access and know your security posture and identify and track vulnerabilities. Okay, so once it's identify what is the security posture, it will secure and harden resources and services with Azure Security Benchmark and AWS Security Best Practice Standard, right? So it will first access your resources and try to understand how much your resources are as per standard or benchmark. Then it will try to means provide it accordingly at par with the benchmark, and it will try to detect and defend threats to resources and services. So that will be done by Microsoft Defender for Cloud. So this type of things will come up. If I go here, if I search here Defender, so this screen will come, right? Again, these recommendations and these things are there. It will be monitoring, right? So you can see already some active recommendations are provided by Microsoft Defender for Cloud. So it's all related to security. Install endpoint protection, web servers, resource health, everything you can see, red, normal, everything is given here. Security alerts, there is none as of now. there are different options here. You can just explore accordingly, but you understood that how it works with respect to security. So unhealthy 4, healthy 1, not applicable 1 as of now. And out of 23, 7 are high, 7 are medium, 4 are low. So this type of things will be provided by Microsoft Defender or Cloud. You need to only understand the concepts. I'm again repeating. So this will be, you need to understand in detail. If you are going from some advanced exam for security in Microsoft, then this you need to understand in much more detail. But for this fundamental, you need to understand that what is the purpose, when you need to use, and on what scenario it will help you, so that you can understand that which service you need for a specific scenario. Okay. The next one is Azure Sentinel. So Azure Sentinel is Microsoft's cloud SIEM, that is security information and event management and security orchestration, automation and response system. So it enables you to collect cloud data at scale. So it will collect data across all users, devices, applications, infrastructure for on-premise and other multiple clouds. And it will detect previously undetected threats, minimize false positive by using Microsoft Comprehensive Analytics and Threat Intelligence, and it will investigate threats with artificial intelligence. You need to remember this, right? So it will examine suspicious activities at scale, tapping into years of cybersecurity experience from Microsoft. So previously something has happened, right? That was an incident. If you are using artificial intelligence, you will use that data. So using that data, you will understand, okay, so this type of things has happened for this type of parameters was there. So same type of parameters is coming with a little bit of change, right? So new types of threats come regularly. So in this way, we'll try to analyze and whether it's a threat or not. So Sentinel, if I go, so you will get this type of things, Sentinel. So it will give you end-to-end protection basically. Okay. So it will give you end-to-end protection against all the threats. You can see what are the events and alerts over time, or what are the potential events. Everything you will see from here, right? There are logs being generated, everything. If I'm creating logs, you see again it is going back to log analytics. So if you're analyzing logs, again it will take you to the log analytics part. So next coming up, so you might think that it looks a bit similar like Microsoft Defender for cloud and Azure Sentinel, but there is some little difference. Microsoft Defender provides the recommendations, alerts, and diagnostics which are then utilized by Azure Sentinel to provide better analytics and incident response. So Defender is providing you the recommendation, alerts, and diagnostics, but that data is used by Sentinel to provide better analytics and what needs to be done with that to provide more security. Right, so it allows you to see the larger picture of what's happening in your environment. Microsoft Defender controls your workloads, security configuration, and health. Microsoft Defender is one of the many sources of threat security data. So it will be providing the data to Sentinel. It will gather data from there and it will build a comprehensive view of the entire enterprise. So it will provide you end-to-end thing. You can see from this diagram. It will collect, it will detect, it will investigate, and it will respond. This whole thing is done by Azure Sentinel. And regarding that collect part, it will get some help from Microsoft Defender, or also a little bit on the detect part as well. Okay, so the next one is Azure Key Vault. It's another security related feature. You can understand from the name itself, it's a key vault. So you'll be storing something there. So everything whatever we use on a daily basis in applications and these things, we prefer to use the key vault. So you can understand, right? We will store some uh, data which we do not want to expose to the outer world, and we will use some key for that. The value is not exposed. We will only use the key, and automatically Azure Key Vault will provide us the value. So it's a centralized cloud service for storing an application secrets in a single centralized location. It provides secure access to sensitive information by providing access control and logging capabilities. It enables you to manage secrets. You can securely store and tightly control access to tokens, passwords, certificates, API keys, and other secrets. It manages encryption keys. You can use Key Vault as a key management solution. It makes it easier to create and control encryption keys that are used to encrypt your data. It will manage SSL and TLS certificates. So Key Vault enables you to provision, manage, and deploy your public and private secure socket layer or transport layer security certificates for both your Azure resources and your internal resources. So if I go back to the portal, if I type here Key Vaults, you can see that it's a key type of icon is there. So here there are different options, right? If you go to keys, from here you can generate, right? What type of key you need, RSA or key size, what is the activation date, when the key will expire, everything you can do from here. And the second thing is the secrets. So suppose I am using some password to log into an application, but I do not want to expose that directly in application. Anybody who has access to that application or who has access to the server can directly take that and use it somewhere else, right? So here I have already created one. So this is the one, the secret value I have just saved like this. If I get back, I can also using this demo secret. If I use this demo secret, actually I will get that value, right? So if I generate a new one, you can see here name which you will be using in your application, value which you will indirectly use but through this name and it will not get exposed to the outer world, and you will also set that expiration date or activation date from here. In this way it will provide you a much more secure access to your data. So normally we prefer to use key vaults in wherever we are using some passwords or those type of security related data. Okay, so everything that is for today. uh, so everything has referred from is Microsoft documentation only. So I think I have ended today at least on time. Yesterday it was a bit stretch. So yeah, so if anybody has any question, or we can just close it.
Sir, we have a question from Kishan Patel. Kishan is asking, how can I get job as fresh Azure roles?
Sorry.
I think he wants to ask that fresh, how he can get into the fresh Azure roles or cloud roles.
Fresh Azure roles mean he want to get into cloud, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So first of all, you need to understand that see there are many what I should say basic services in cloud, right? So first of all, you need to understand those services first. So whether you are using any of those cloud providers, you need to understand that what are the different services provided that by that cloud, means storage or applications, or how you are storing your keys, how you are deploying your applications, how you are accessing your database. Those are the primary things. You first need to understand those and need to understand how you can access those from different applications you are writing, right? Mean suppose you are writing a .NET application, everything is in cloud. So actually that application is using all data from cloud only, right? Right. So in this way you need to understand that how you can use your cloud whenever you are using it in your real life applications. So cloud has different roles, you just cannot get into cloud. So cloud has also different segregation. So network related things are different, security related things are different. Somebody is solution architect, he's designing everything. Somebody is data architect, he's designing anything related to data. Somebody is working in the big data part, that is there are different services available for that. So you cannot be a master at a single go, you need to start from somewhere. So my suggestion is you start from the basics, right? Means basic things of cloud, why this cloud is important, what are the things available. So here, let me share my screen again. uh, what I will suggest, if you are using Microsoft, if you go to home, you have this one, right? So if you go to all resources, you have this, this is different, sorry, all services. So here you will get a list of all the services. It is not possible for you to look into all of them, right? So these are general, these are compute related, these are networking related, these are storage, these are web, mobile containers, database, lots of them. So what I will suggest, you take up something, means which is most frequently will use. Suppose for general, you need to understand that what is subscription, what is resource group first. So because you will be creating all those resources under that resource group, that concept, then you will be creating virtual machine. So then you will be creating some function app which you might use from other functions. Do not go into the complex thing initially. You first understand that what each, not each, at least the important services do, so that you can have an just a top level view that how this cloud is helping you out and how it is solving the problems which might have happened in the on premise, right? So in this way you will be able to understand. So start slow, step by step. Once you will be able, once you are able to understand that how this thing is working, then other services will be easier for you to pick up. So I will tell you, segregate these things. Suppose you want to focus on the storage first, you understand the storage things first, so you focus on the storage. Then you focus on maybe database, not all, because each and every is a single, it's a huge one. So you take SQL database because you are already working in SQL. So in this way you can understand better that which thing you need to take up first to relate the on premise thing with the cloud, right? So these things you can just scroll and check that which are the things you need to understand. But my suggestion is, first you give this AZ-900 all those services which are used there. You first need to understand these are the services I need to know. Then you understand what are the services you need to know in details. Okay, so in this manner you can at least start, but you should start. That is my suggestion.
Thank you very much, sir, for the question. We have one more question. He's asking, how can I access Key Vault to get the keys?
Okay, yes, there are different methods. So if you are using from the .NET application, so there will be different, what I will say, you need to import different classes, right? You will have some packages and those things. From there you can access. If you are using services from within Azure, there you have to provide some accesses internally, and then only you can access those keywords. So this totally depends on where you are using. So if you are using from applications, there should be some classes or some packages. Using that, you will be first connecting to Azure with the credentials and those things. Then there will be some sub classes. By that you will be using the keys. Okay, so keys you will give some. Suppose you are there might be lots of keys in the key vault, right? So you need to specify that specific name. Then you will be getting the value on runtime. You will not able to. You do not need to store it here. So in this way you need to access. So you can just dig dive that how you can access, but first you need to understand from where you want to access. So different places will have different methodologies to access the access key, means key vault details.
Yes, sir. So let's take the last question of the day. So he wants to ask, is there any way he can learn Azure certification for free?
Yeah, there are lots of things in YouTube. So in YouTube, if you search, there are lots of materials available. So from there you can learn easily. And I will suggest you definitely go through the Microsoft documentation. That is for the certification, because it will be always aligned with the latest certification topics. Because YouTube might be that the video is 6 months old, but in last 2 months some changes has been done to the certification, so that's no use, right? You can go through that video to understand, because anyway those services are required to be understood. But for the certification purpose, I will always suggest you go through the Microsoft Learn documentation, because it will always be aligned with the certification topics. Okay.
Yes, sir. So can we wrap up the session?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us for the day two of your AZ-900 bootcamp. So now we have one more day for this day three, where sir will be covering the remaining rest of the things of AZ-900. I hope you all like this session. So please drop down a like, and if you have any queries, you can comment it down. And thank you very much, sir, for joining us and giving your precious time to the community and the folks out there. Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
thanks a lot, everyone, for joining. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye.